There's two ways to look at this movie. There's like
there are
the critical way of it, and then there's the fan way of looking at it.
All those little like bits and pieces, references, and all that stuff kind of laid out in there just made it a fun time to just sit through all of it.
What would you want to be the next video game movie?
Zelda.
Can we put that whole conversation about, is this going to be the first good video game movie or the first good video game television show? Will this break the curse of? Can we put that shit to bed? Yo, what's poppin', everybody? It's the No Level Cap podcast. We back once again with the crew. I want y'all to give me a minute to introduce my incredible co-hosts. We've got the collector of collectors and the master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
Nothing much, man. I beat Resident Evil 4 remake last night.
Hey, congratulations.
I thank you. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't realized I had played that game for like 8 hours yesterday. So yeah, I was getting through. Hey man, them chapters, they ain't long, but they got some meat to them. I'm glad I got out the way. The game fun. I'm playing it again.
What did you think of it overall?
Amazing. They did a great job. I love it. Capcom, you did your thing. Keep doing your thing.
That's what's up. Next up, we got the Black Daredevil and the secret weapon of No Level Cap, Terrence Flowers. What's going on, Terrence?
Yeah, everything's all good on my end. I still need to get a piece of that Resident Evil 4, but I haven't yet, so who knows? I'll be late to the party whenever I do get it. But I'm hearing nothing but amazing things about it, so whenever I do finally get it, I definitely look forward to it. But yeah, I'm also looking forward to our discussion on this Mario movie. This is going to be an interesting one.
Next up, we got the living cartoon and the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's going on, Rakeem?
It's me. It's Rakeem. Hey, man, just living life. I'm currently playing Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero and in the final chapter of that. And I'm trying to get through backlog before
June comes smack you in the face.
But yeah, so because I know June for to hit me, I'm getting the new Star Wars game when it comes out. I definitely want to play that, so I want to go ahead and just get through some of my backlog that I've been kind of dilly-dallying on, games I've played for a while. Just had a few more hours to finish. Might go ahead and kind of kill those, and then get ready for May and June. Man, just it's gonna be a good time. So I'm looking forward to that.
And then going on in May, other than I guess Star Wars.
Yep.
Next up, we've got One Punch Man and the master of combos, Mr. Devin Butts. What's good, Devin?
I'm good, man. I too have not got to get my hands on RE4. I've seen footage of it. Looks dope. I'll get to it eventually. But I actually back in these combo streets, man. They just released Gambit for Ultimate Marvel 3 as a mod, and I think Leon is supposed to be finished soon.
I saw Leon's in the works. Yeah.
So I had to go ahead and dust off the arcade stick because it really wasn't nothing dropped like the past few months. They had like some tech and stuff, but it wasn't like any new characters. So those were two characters, especially Gambit and Leon. I've been waiting on these characters. So I'm almost done with the combo video. I'll probably finish it once we finish the podcast up. So I've been working on that this week. Enjoyed the Mario movie, just like Terrence said. I'm actually really excited to talk about this movie. Let's get into it, man.
Hey, man, where can we find those combo videos, bro?
You can go find my content on YouTube, Gaming Lift. That is GAMNLIFTT, Gaming Lift. So
yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Lastly, I am Sage Ashford, the man who won't shut up. If you didn't know, No Level Cap goes live every Monday morning. We appear on YouTube for video fans, but if you prefer the audio version, we're live on Spotify as well. We're also kind of on TikTok, but the government, they're trying to get it up out of here, so we'll see what happens. Like everybody said, we getting up in here. We got a new movie to come up in here that I'm pretty excited to get everybody's opinions on. I was kind of surprised that Nintendo finally came up out the closet. They've been kind of hiding for a long time, trying to avoid doing any kind of adaptations. But then they finally came up there and they said, "Hey, man, we got something for y'all." We got the legendary Mario Brothers. It's the Mario Brothers and Plumbins. The game found a secret warp zone while working on the drain. Lend the princess a hand in the mushroom land. Join the action with the plumbers. You'll be hooked on the brothers. Like, man, that was a wild. The fact that they called on that that original like late 80s, early 90s cartoon. I could not believe it. And that says a lot about this movie in general. And so now I'm trying to get everybody's opinion. I gotta know, what did you think about the movie, Devin? What's going on?
I'm gonna be honest. I really enjoyed this movie, man. It was thoroughly enjoyable. There was one glaring thing that I didn't like, and I guess after watching the movie, it's not as bad. But I mean, they did it like right at the beginning and like at the end. The actual voice of Mario had like 2 lines. He was like, woohoo, like just 2 little lines, and I'm just like, man, he got a. I wonder, does he feel some type of way? He's like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm Mario. Like, and it's almost like he was like a slap in the face. Like, you gonna put me in the movie, but not as Mario. So that was a little weird to me. But I will say
that was probably a consolation prize.
You know he was the dad, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the voice.
Yeah.
He voiced the dad and the character that, like the one at the arcade in the beginning that was going wahoo.
Right.
I mean, that was him, but he also voiced the dad in the movie.
Okay, yeah, that's
Mario's
the guy I
dad,
was
yeah.
talking about, the guy that was at the arcade machine.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was actually listening to his dad later on. I was like, wait, sounds kind of like
He did
Mario.
sound a lot like Charles Martinet, so I kind of was like,
So that makes sense.
Which kind of already shuts down the argument, like, oh, Charles Martinet, he can't act anyway, so there's no way he could have led a movie. Yeah, cut that off.
Yeah.
Good point.
I will say though, I was actually pretty pleased with Chris Pratt's performance as Mario. At first, like, okay, so one thing about this movie is like, this is like Chris Pratt was like the voice, like they're just from like New York, they're from Brooklyn, so they, these plumbers, Italian plumbers. And in the game, they never follow like where he's really from. They never, at least from my knowledge, it's just like it's always in the shows, like, oh, he's just regular dudes, but in the game, it's like he's almost some mystical being. Like, where he come from? Like, does he live in the Mushroom Kingdom? So they kind of like made this like more like the older stuff, the like more of a real world translation. I think the CG was dope. The game, the movie looked beautiful. I made a joke that I said this is how Mario would look on PS5 when they did like the little segment that was like side scrolling. Him and Luigi were running through the city trying to get to that the first call that they had. I think it's the character. All the voices were pretty dope. The casting was, I think, pretty solid.
and fuck that dog though.
Yeah, that dog can.
That dog.
Bro, they literally was like, it's crazy because they're good at what they do. They fixed it in like no time. The dog was like, yeah,
I'm about to mess it all up.
I'm about to ruin this man's whole career.
Like,
Literally.
literally. Like, they fixed it in like, Mario's like, I got it. Yeah, we good. Dog come in like, yeah, my bone though. Like,
I got it.
but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this was a really fun, and also it was like a tug at like the nostalgia, because I'm sitting there looking at this movie and I'm thinking it's a kid sitting next to me. That kid was maybe no more than like 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, this kid knows the theme song to Mario. Mario has been around for 30 years. Like, I think Mario dropped like right when I was born.
No, Mario's way older than you.
Like NES?
Yeah.
It was like 86, 87?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess 86 in Japan, 87 here, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right on the heels of when I was born. So I was born in 90.
Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and give a little bit of background. Mario originally appeared in the Donkey Kong game in 1981.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
And then he later popped up in like his own video game in like the 80s on like Nintendo.
Yeah.
He was in Mario Brothers, and then eventually he was just in Super Mario Brothers, which I think dates back to like 85. So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
85.
I'm just thinking like this little kid is not even 10 years old. He knows like this theme song. It's wild. Like, that's one thing. Mario is a legacy. Like, that's like talking about a franchise team. That man been getting rings for forever. And I'm just thinking like, is Mario gonna just go on for the end of time? Like, is he just gonna be like just that mascot? He is the mascot of gaming mascots. I'm just like, this is crazy. But yeah, the movie was great. I think the little adventure they go on when they get to the Mushroom Kingdom, you got Toad coming in with the little jokes. He's like a little, hey guys, he's like, is this a dream? He hits him with the stick. Did that hurt? Like, yeah, hey, bro.
That was a great bit.
Yeah.
Am I dreaming? Wow, you feel like you
Like,
dreaming?
and it hurt, man. Yeah, I just think like just the little story that they told, the little adventure they went on, showing like translating like the moves in the games. Like they did a lot of moves like from Super Mario 64 that they showed in there, the slides, all the power ups. Bowser being Bowser, wanting to get Peach, and it's like, bro, she don't want you, bro. Yeah, I just think it was dope. The inclusion of like the Mario Kart stuff, the Diddy Kong stuff. They had Donkey Kong. It's just like it was a great movie. I ain't gonna lie, man. I really feel like they had to. I don't know what their plans were for this movie. Like maybe they saw Sonic and was like, "Hey, we got to do one for Mario." But I think that maybe Sonic has kind of like lit a fire on people to be like, "Hey, let's do a movie, a video game movie." And I think this was a pretty solid one, man.
Okay. So what would you rate it?
I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. That's pretty high. All right, Will, what did you think of the film?
And I had fun with that film. I was just like, give it a chance. I ain't gonna sit up here and act like I was just skeptical of it, but I was just like, I want to see how well this goes. And for them to like do what they say, like to point out at the old cartoon, and then just all those little like bits and pieces, references, and all that stuff kind of laid out in there, just made it a fun time to just sit through all of it. And all the voice work was pretty good. Shout outs to Jack Black though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout outs to Jack Black.
He was definitely having fun as Bowser.
Yes, he was. He was in there, bro. When he got on that piano, bro, I was like, "Yo,
peaches."
That right there had me, bro.
I could have forgotten that it was Jack Black. In fact, I had forgotten it was Jack Black until he started singing, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is Jack Black, and this is what you get him for."
Yeah, and he chewed it up, bro. I got to get into him. He definitely made a good part of that movie enjoyable. I definitely let the Mario Kart part, where the Kong basically like ruined the whole shot with the banana peel behind him, like that right there. Just little stuff like that. I'm like, do more of this. I definitely want to see if they will do something else, but for now, this movie is great. It's a fun watch, and honestly, y'all, I just gotta say, screw the critics. The critics don't like fun. I just want to let y'all know that now. The critics do not like fun. They don't like fun at all.
What would you rate it?
About an 8. About an 8.5. It's up there.
Terrence, what'd you think?
So I agree with Will that there's two ways to look at this movie. There's like
there are
the critical way of it, and then there's the fan way of looking at it. The critical way of it, if you really wanted to like dissect this movie as like a piece of cinema, like from the writing, the story and everything. If I was being completely honest, some of the writing in the movie is just okay. So if I were to look at it from strictly from like a critical cinema standpoint, I think the movie it's fine. It's nothing like revolutionary. On the other hand, if you're a fan of just Mario, Nintendo, if you've grown up with Mario, you get all the references, you see certain things, you're like, ooh, that's from this and that's from that, like the different musical cues and stuff like that. This movie's a fun time. So it really just depends on if you want to be more critical of it from like a cinema standpoint, or if you're a fan and you just want to just look at this movie as just the fun that it is. And if I'm being honest, this is also a kid's movie at the end of the day. Yeah. And I mean, adults can enjoy it, obviously. But it's made for kids, so it's not necessarily going to hit like, and well, let me take that back. That's not to say that kids' movies can't hit like high benchmarks in like cinema. There's definitely kid movies that, they touch on big subjects, but not every movie needs to do that. And I don't think that this movie needed to do that. But the things that I did, like I enjoyed the music for one thing. Man, the music was so well done. Yep. So many cues from different video games, Mario media in general. I think there was even parts when Luigi was on his own that were like direct shout outs to like Luigi's Mansion. Just stuff like that. It's really cool to see video game movies embrace the things that make them fun to begin with, because it seems like for the longest time video game movies, they were like, screw the video game part of it. We're going to do our own thing. It's like, no, embrace what makes it, what people enjoy about it. And I did, for the most part, enjoy this movie. I thought that it was really fun. Is it, like I said, the greatest thing ever or something revolutionary in terms of adaptations? It isn't, but it's still fun. I still think it's going to make a ton of money. And obviously, you know, judging on the way that the end credits went, there's going to be a sequel. So it's very interesting to see. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. In terms of a rating, I think I'd give it a solid 8. Maybe if I want to be more critical, I could say 7.5. But I think for its first outing, I think an 8 is a solid score for this one, just in my opinion. If I wanted to look at it strictly from a fun side of things, I give it an 8. If I want to be more critical, maybe 7.5, just because there are some areas where the writing was a little bland and like the story kind of just like went along, and like certain things were like, wait, you all just accepting that Mario just came here? There's like no, like you all aren't really wondering like, why is this guy just storming into the princess castle or anything? You're just kind of like just willing to just accept it, you know? So, but yeah, like I said, if I want to be more critical, you know, I could go in that direction, but I'm going to choose the fun side and I'll give it a solid 8.
I'll go in that direction. Okay, so this might be, I'm gonna take y'all on a little bit of a journey. So you have to come with me. This might be the best video game movie I've ever seen, potentially of all time. But I don't know that it's a good movie. Like when the movie did its first unnecessary pop song, like you know, during the training scene, and they started all of a sudden like, I Need a Hero jumped in. I was like, okay. And I like, even though that scene is really cool, like watching Peach run through the obstacle course, because it looked like some shit out of Super Mario Maker. And like when you see Mario go through it, and you like, what the fuck? Like, who would have made this? Like, this is the course that
definitely a shout out to Mario Maker.
Absolutely, because Nintendo would never make a course like that. But I was looking, I'm like, okay. But then the music came in, and I was like, and that made me. That was the first sour note. And then I started thinking about the movie, and I realized it's not telling an interesting story. There's not much to the characters. There's not much to the world. It's literally just, here's what you love from the games. And on that level, I think it delivers in a way that no other video game movie ever does. Even the Sonic movies spend way too much time on Earth, when if the Sonic fans had their druthers, they would have rather he just fought Eggman in his own world. This movie is designed from like the music, the look of the characters, the look of the world, the platform. It's designed for Super Mario fans to love it. And in that respect, I think it's a great film. But there was never a moment where I connected with the characters. Like earlier in the year, me and Rakeem saw Puss in Boots 2. And there are several moments in that film that I just can't forget. There's the moment in the film where the dog, he tells you his backstory. It's the saddest shit you ever heard, but he's still upbeat and happy, and you just instantly connect with him. There's the moment where Kitty Softpaws talks about a relationship with Puss, and she like, look, I realized you was never going to love anybody as much as you love yourself, and that hit. And then there's that moment where Puss in Boots has that like legit anxiety attack and has to be calmed down by the dog. Like those moments, I still remember them vividly right now. Right. You know what's going to stick with me about this film? I love the cat suit from Super Mario 3D World. I like the platforming. I love the way they didn't try to, like, in contrast to Terrence, I actually love the way that they didn't try to come up with no weird, unnecessary explanations for the power-ups and how Mario got there. If you play the games, you know how this works. Like, I loved all of that.
Yeah, they don't have to explain the power-ups. I didn't mean that. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, how he got to there, like, just through a pipe. I was like, cool. Because it's embracing the fact that it's a video game. This is not by any means a bad movie, but I looked, Metacritic, I think it's like a 56 or something like that. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. Because if you're not a Super Mario fan, there's nothing to this film. Like, nothing at all. Like, it's enjoyable. Like, in that I probably, if I didn't watch Super Mario and didn't get into the references, and I, like, took my kid to go see it, I'd be like, yeah, it was fine. But, like, it's not no shit that I would think to go back to watch if I wasn't no Super Mario fan already. If you don't like it, it's just a fine movie at best. And, like, to me, there's multiple kinds of film adaptations. There's the kind that tosses out the original source material in an attempt to be a good movie, like a critically acclaimed, and that shit almost always fails. I can't think of a single example of them like tossing out all the shit from the source material to try to do their own take on it. That shit almost always fails. Then
Shit,
there's
even the last Super Mario movie did that.
exactly. Like when they trying to toss all the shit out that everybody loved, and they're like, "Oh, but we gonna tell a interesting, gritty story, grounded." As soon as I hear that word "grounded," I'm like, "Yep, this shit probably gonna be trash."
Even the recent MK movie made that mistake.
Yep. Anytime you try to be too grounded and like, "Oh, we gonna tell something you ain't never seen before," it's a really grounded take. That shit set off alarm bells. Like as soon as you hear the word "grounded," think back to like all the movies that have ever used the word "grounded" to describe their shit. Outside of Batman, you're gonna be like, "That shit was ass." But like, then there's films that like kind of capture the spirit of whatever they're adapting, but in itself, it's not a good movie, but people still love it. Like Mortal Kombat from the 90s. People love Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Captured
Movie's awful, but I love that movie.
I
love it.
It captured the spirit of Mortal Kombat, so you just like, I don't care if it's bad. I'm still going to enjoy it. And then there's ones that manage to tell a great story and include a bunch of cool moments for the fans, like Iron Man 1 or Batman Begins, Dark Knight, like that. If you can't get the third one, I'll take the second one 1,000 times out of 1,000. Like I'd rather take something like Super Mario than like this 2023 one than some shit like Mortal Kombat, the new one, where they toss out all the shit that you like and like what was it? Some symbols or whatever, some crests.
They made it where in order to be in the Mortal Kombat tournament, you had to
like a mark.
Kill another
yeah,
member
you had to have a
who
mark,
had
and the
tattoo.
mark gave you powers, which was so stupid.
Did nobody ask for that? Yeah. Nobody like it, you had some people that they'll like as long as they got the name of the character, like with the exception of I guess maybe Avatar. I don't think nobody like that, but like everything else, like ain't nobody asked for that. But of course there'll always be a few people that's like, oh man, I mean they had to make some changes to make it work. Like no, you didn't. And Super Mario Brothers, it kind of proved like you ain't got to make changes. You can still make a good movie that like fans of the franchise will enjoy. And I think movies that send the fans home happy are great, even if the film itself isn't necessarily some amazing piece of cinema. So for me, I'm gonna give it a 7, just because it succeeds on a technical level in terms of like what the movie looks like. Most of the voice acting, I thought Keegan-Michael Key did a great job as Toad. I thought Jack Black did an excellent job as Bowser. Like I said, I forgot he was Bowser until he started doing that song. So like that, like all of that stuff really works. The plot and the characters is, so I had to dock it for that. But it's still like a solid 7. Rakeem, what did you think?
I'm pretty much right on the area you're at, Sage. There was a lot of things I liked about this film. Main thing I liked is that the pacing was very good to me. I felt like it was at a pace. It just did not waste your time. It got straight to the point, almost to its detriment, because that's kind of why I think that some of the characters had more paper thin motivations, because they didn't. I guess they wanted that time to be set and whatever they had it, and they didn't have time to explain everything to you. Like, hey, we here. Hey, you got power ups. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Certain things I remember I really liked for this movie that stood out to me visually. Seeing the Mushroom Kingdom in all its majesty, it looked great.
They used the Mario 64 castle. That was amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was cool. They do a good job in this movie of not only having the references, but they integrated the references into the world almost seamlessly. Like the Mario Kart instance, where that was part of the Donkey Kong culture. So they just had the carts. You created your own cart. That was really freaking cool to me. And that's kind of why I turned the corner on the movie. At first, I was kind of like, this is a little iffy. When they got to that Mario Kart part, after that, I was all gravy to me. I was like, yeah, I like everything I'm seeing now. Also, a shameless plug, as a kid, I absolutely freaking adored Donkey Kong. So the fact that he had a pretty good, almost antagonistic role, to be honest, but almost rival antagonistic
really likable, though.
Yeah. I enjoy just seeing that take on Donkey Kong, because I mean, let's be honest, him and Mario always have had because of the history of the games, they're always been interconnected, and I'm kind of glad someone finally touched on that to a degree here. And also, it's just nice to see a giant gorilla do something heroic. It's pretty cool. Other things I liked about the movie, I think, like you guys said earlier, the actors had fun. They definitely were. You could tell with the direction, they just let these guys like, hey, try something, or hey, let's go let's do it extra. Jack Black was all over the place in this movie. But I definitely enjoyed his performances. I appreciate him as an actor so much now that I'm older, and like his effect on just acting in general, just his funness, his energy, just seeing on Mandalorian this past week, he always puts a smile on his face wherever he's on. So that's pretty cool. But some of the negatives, I'm pretty much what you say, is like paper thin motivations. The plot itself was not really a plot. It was more of an engagement of this is Mario, and we're trying not to fuck it up this time, and we want to give the character as pretty much an honest of an opinion, a representation as we've ever had, but a little bit more backstory into his past. It was kind of cool to see he had his family. I wasn't quite as interested in the family, to be honest. They just gave you enough that, like, hey, he has some issues with his father, that he the respect of his father he wants to have, and like self-respect as a man. I definitely can relate to that to a degree. Growing up in my household, I remember living with my parents. I couldn't find a job. I had issues finding a job. I was right there with Mario, so I totally understood on that level. But yeah, I think personally for me, I enjoyed this film a good bit, and for some reason, I have this insatiable need to play Mario Kart right now. Even though I don't own a Switch, I might have to figure it out. But I would give it probably like a 7.5. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was a great written story, but it was so fun. It had a lot of energy. It looked great visually. And I thought to myself while I was watching this, 32-year-old Rakeem, you see the flaws, but 8-year-old Rakeem would have talked about this movie to death for like every freaking day after you watched it. I would have adored this film. And I think if you're a person with a kid, a nephew, a niece, take them to see this movie. They'll love it. I think if you like Mario in some way and you got a nephew, a niece, or a kid, take them to see this movie. They'll freaking love it, and you'll love it too.
That's the thing. What's up, Terrence?
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you what's gonna go up after this movie comes out is ticket sales for Super Nintendo World.
Oh yeah,
best believe people are gonna go to those theme parks. They're definitely gonna go.
What they need to be doing is putting out a new Super Mario. Like
Coming
some
soon.
kind of Super Mario need to be. I heard Miyamoto did say something about like, hey man, I ain't saying we putting out one. I ain't saying we ain't. Just keep watching them Nintendo Directs. So because it makes sense. And I will say this. That's another reason why I said I think movies that send the fans home happy are great. Included in those fans, because it is Nintendo, are the kids. And so like I would think an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, all the way up to like probably 12, you probably watch this film and be like, oh shit, it's Mario. And it's like the only thing that was missing, and they did have him in here, but like they didn't like include him enough for me, considering how important he is. They didn't have Yoshi in there.
Oh yeah.
They showed Yoshi for a few seconds, but it just kind of went past. I'm like, damn, this man Mario been riding with Yoshi since like the 90s, bro. Like you can't just do that to that man.
I feel like it's kind of like Sonic 2, where you get the partner in the sequel. Tails came along in Sonic 2, so I feel like they're going to go in that direction.
In the first Mario game, that wasn't even Yoshi; it was just him and Luigi. So he didn't come into Super Mario. I don't think.
I think he was in Super Mario World. I think that was his first appearance.
Yeah.
Which is like the SNES game. Mm-hmm. But like, as far as like how well this film is going to do, like it's already tracking to be the biggest video game movie, the biggest animated opening, or one of. I think it's either number 1 or number 2. The biggest animated movie of all time. Wow. It's in that number. Really? It's tracking for that kind of opening. Wow. Like it's doing crazy, and that shouldn't be a surprise, because the Mario franchise as a whole, not just Super Mario, but like Mario Kart, Mario Party, all that, is the highest selling franchise of all time. It's at 800 and something million copies of over the years. So like, it makes sense that this film is as big as it is. What's up, Devin?
I say this, this movie, I don't know if it quite matched, but it brought me back to memories, and you know what I'm talking about, Terrence. When we went to see the movie Up, remember the good time that we had when we saw that movie? Oh, yeah. I felt a little bit like that watching this movie, just a good time, like, because that movie it was like an emotional roller coaster for sure.
It was.
Yeah. It was like I laughed, one of the hardest laughs I ever laughed in my life with the squirrel and the dog. And Mario kind of got me close to that feeling of watching Up back. That was like years ago.
Man. This is I ain't gonna lie, that's a crazy comparison. You really love Mario, because like Up, I think is regarded as like one of the greatest animated films ever.
It definitely
is.
Yeah.
Up is amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm glad, like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think for Super Mario, like the biggest Super Mario fans, they gonna walk in this movie and it's just gonna be like they're gonna be blown away, because there's so much like I caught a lot of it because I grew up playing Super Mario, and I also like follow it as like games media and stuff like that. And so like I caught tons of references, but I can only imagine what like the bigger fans caught. But they probably was just like, oh my god, they put this in there too. So like I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like tons of Easter eggs. Like when you buy the Blu-ray or digital, I'm sure like every frame there's something new to find probably.
I'm pretty sure Bowser's even wedding suit was like a reference.
I think it
to
is
something in the past.
You might be right. I think it's from
that's
one
Mario
of the games.
Odyssey. I think that's a Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Even the mayor of Brooklyn is
it was Pauline, right?
Pauline.
Yeah.
So even the mayor of Brooklyn, that shit, I was like, okay, I see what y'all doing. Like I noticed that off rip. I was like, okay. So like the references is all there. Like everything you would want. Like I think most fans would look at this film and be like, I would be lucky to have my favorite franchise get a movie this good.
Yeah.
Even with the thin writing and the thin characters, I think most people would just be like, I'd just be happy to see something that don't take all the elements about the thing I love and toss them in the trash to try and do something original when what you should be making is an original IP if you're going to toss everything in the trash.
Yeah, and give it a budget too.
It definitely had a budget and they definitely used it right because that game, like that movie, and that's why, because at first I was leaning, I was going to say 6 because like I really didn't find much of anything, but like the more I thought about it, I was like, but that movie is really beautiful. Like it's one of the prettiest movies I've seen in a long time. So like I just couldn't. I was like, no, I gotta give it at least a 7 because it's just so pretty. Like the Mushroom Kingdom, the Ice Kingdom, the way they animated the characters, the Kong, like the Donkey Kong Kingdom, all them kingdoms all look perfect. And even like the New York when you like doing all the platforming shit, like okay, that was cool. It's just too pretty for me to say like it's like watching John Wick. Like I ain't really go to John Wick for no damn plot. You go to John Wick to see like John Wick do some action shit. And so like if you come up in here and you looking to see like the best rendition of the Super Mario world, you got it. Like it's not gonna get no better than this. So I guess the next question I would ask: have video game adaptations finally evolved? Like, can we put that whole conversation about is this going to be the first good video game movie or the first good video game television show? Will this break the curse of? Can we put that shit to bed? Like, I feel like we can. Terrence, what do you think?
We can certainly put that. Honestly, people were pointing this out. Is that I saw a lot of discussion about this when Last of Us came out, the TV series. Is that
they acted like that was the first time?
Yeah, and people were pointing out that no, this really isn't. Like video game adaptations have been decent for quite a while now. It's like I get it. Like this, like Last of Us is the first adaptation where it's something that it appeals on more like it has more mass appeal.
For sure.
Like people, it's more like a traditional HBO show. It's more cinematic. And a lot of the other stuff, like if we look at prior adaptations like Castlevania on Netflix, amazing. You all going to have to help me out here because I'm kind of blanking like previous adaptations. There's a lot of good ones, but I'm just kind of like blanking on.
There's a shit ton. Like it's been so many.
Cyberpunk, Detective
Arcane,
Pikachu. Sonic, of course.
League of Legends.
Yeah, Arcane definitely. Yeah. We've had plenty of good video game adaptations up to this point to where the curse isn't a thing. And I think the discussion that I saw for the reason why people still like to call it a curse is that a lot of people still have this stigma about video games where they don't see them as like, they don't see them on the same level as like TV and film, or at least like traditional audiences don't. I mean, it's definitely changing, but there's still people out there who don't. And like the more traditional journalists, when they look at video games, it's like, oh, this lowly video game adaptation is actually good? Huh, who would have thought? And so they, blew Last of Us way out of proportion. And I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve that praise. It's just that the whole idea of there still being a curse, it's not a thing. Like we can nip that in the bud. So yeah, video game movies have definitely evolved. I mean, we're no longer in the dark ages where we're getting stuff like Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, The DOA
Yeah.
movie, Tekken, stuff like that. Like
All the fighting game movies.
We still
Yeah,
get
essentially
the
all the
DOA
fighting
movies.
game movies.
All the fighting game movies.
I mean, even I guess technically like the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies weren't bad per se. They just
liked 'em.
maybe didn't really hit the mark that maybe the fans wanted in the same way, but they weren't
was
bad
thinking about the
movies.
Resident
Even
Evil
like the
movie.
Silent Hill movie isn't bad. So I don't know. I mean, just the idea that video game adaptation stuff has always been bad, I think we can definitely. No, I don't think we can throw that out now because I mean, it's not a thing anymore. We're definitely getting a lot of good stuff. It's good to see video games being taken seriously as adaptations. So yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I think that like I would love for this conversation to be put to bed for good, but I know it won't. In the same way that like periodically you'll still get a bang zoom comics aren't for kids anymore article, and you know they try to explain it that like comic books are actually, you know, everybody can enjoy them, and they make comic books for adults, and you like
same
yeah,
with
no
anime,
shit.
same with animated movies.
Yeah.
It's just like all the like if it's not like traditional TV and film, it still has that stigma against it where it's like too kiddie or it's not to be taken seriously, you know. So.
Yeah, that's the problem, and it's hard, like because like we listed off all of them, you know, Detective Pikachu, Sonic, Castlevania, Arcane, like all that shit. You know, like this movie, like I said, is prepared to be one of the biggest openings for animated movie of all time, and so I would love it if nobody ever asked this question again. Like, stop telling me, oh well, video game adaptations usually aren't good when Cyberpunk the anime is more beloved than Cyberpunk the video game. Like,
That is true.
people
All it
wouldn't
takes is somebody to take it seriously. That's what it is. Like,
Right.
it's- I'm glad that we're finally getting directors and producers that are just taking it seriously and not so adamant about doing their own thing. You know.
Look, and you know what? I know some people try to tell you like, oh man, you know, you don't want people to have any creativity and do their own thing. And I'm like, look, if you want to do your own thing, I would love it if you made a new IP. I would love it if you just made something brand new that you came up with yourself and put that out and marketed that. And if it's like, cause like, if you take Batman and you say, look, I ain't gonna put him in the cape and I ain't gonna call him Batman, and you know, he ain't gonna be in the cave, but it's still Bruce Wayne fighting crime, I'm gonna be like, nigga, that ain't Batman. Like, I don't know what to tell you, that's not Batman. And so like when you start making all these changes to a character, you say it's who?
Magnum PI.
Man,
It's man bad. He's just a man who wants to be a bat, I guess.
He ain't
He's
in the
a
bat costume no more. You know, he
man.
just, it's like Keem said, he just Magnum PI, like he just a cop. Like if you say Bruce Wayne instead of being Batman, you gonna call the movie Batman, but instead he joined the GCPD. I'm gonna be like, look, this ain't Batman. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You just made another cop show.
That's
It's
worse
not,
than Gotham.
it is more insulting than Gotham, actually. So like that, and even Gotham, like when you start changing that much, it's like, oh yeah, you know, we in Gotham and all the supervillains are in Gotham, but Batman ain't gonna fight him. It's gonna be Inspector Gordon. Like, man, for what?
He ain't
Who
old
the fuck
enough
asked
yet.
for that? He ain't old enough. What? Then the villains shouldn't be old enough either. They should be in a crib
You correct.
somewhere.
It didn't make any sense.
That was always my main criticism with that show is that by the time Batman becomes Batman, all his villains gonna be in the retirement home. Like
They gonna be old. They ain't gonna be in no retirement home, but they gonna be old.
they're
It's
gonna be close
easy.
enough.
No wonder
Still like
he
Gotham though,
keep
but that was
whooping them all the time.
that was a big issue. I still like the show, but that was a big issue.
That's what I'm saying. And so, like, you know, that's comic books, but like they do that with everything where they keep trying to do their own twist and nobody asks for it. Like, if you want to do your own thing, make your own IP. When it's time to do like an IP like Super Mario or you know, Pikachu, Sonic, like whatever, like it's time to just go ahead and look at what was done before and adapt that. Like the anime has had it right for years where they take, you know, what was in the manga or what was in the light novel and they like translate that and turn it into an anime. Stop telling me, oh, well, you know, if you got the original, why would you want to see it again? Like, shut up. Because I want to see it again. That's why. And you should want to see it again, or you should work on something else. Like it's not that hard.
That
So like
adaptations can draw in a new audience, just like Last of Us.
they absolutely can. And so yeah, I think video game adaptations evolved years ago. Castlevania was literally one of Netflix's biggest animated series, and people wouldn't shut the fuck up about Arcane. So like, I feel like it's time. And it wasn't there another one aside from Arcane. It was like a Dota one too, right?
On Netflix?
Yeah, there was a Dota one.
Was that
Yeah, there
Defensive?
was Dota.
Was
There
that
was
Was
Dota.
there was a Dota one.
Yeah, there was
Defensive?
Dota.
Dota
There
one.
was a Dragon Age one. Yeah, there's been.
Well, the Dragon Age
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Well, no. The Dragon Age one was good too, huh?
I don't.
I
know.
didn't finish it.
I don't know.
Okay.
couldn't
But I
tell
feel
you
like I
about
heard good things about because there's like multiple Dragon Age ones. One was bad, and then like I think the last one they did was like more traditional animation, and
They
I heard
also
it
did
was pretty
Dragon's
solid.
Dogma, which was god awful.
Yeah,
Now
that is right.
that is the problem. Like you do get the occasional adaptation where you like, all right, look, man, why'd you do this?
Thanks.
You get like because I don't think I heard nobody say anything positive about Halo like that. I heard Halo was like
they made too many changes from what I've heard. I have a
Yeah.
roommate who's a big Halo fan, and the idea of like revealing Master Chief and like adding
Yeah.
unnecessary
first
stuff to the
episode.
mythos, yeah, it just wasn't. Nobody asked for any of that stuff, you know.
Exactly, like they got him out here taking his helmet off, and you finding out who he is and all that. It's like, man, look, man, there is a story. It's when that came out, they were 5 games deep, and it was like, we gotta go our own way. Like it's novels and shit out that people like, and you was like, we know better than all of that. Like, oh, okay. So that I guess because we still get some mediocre adaptations here and there, like Halo and fucking was Tekken any good, Devin?
The one on
it was
Netflix,
decent.
Bloodlines.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh wait,
I would say it was a success. I mean, if you a fan of the fighting, you want to see dope fights, I'd say Tekken was a success to me.
Okay, so like, what would you think? Like, would you say in general video game adaptations have evolved, or do you think it's a ways to go?
No, they definitely have evolved. Like that's without question. I will say I'm still gonna hold my breath on movies though, but I think like overall, especially at like TV adaptation, I think they've evolved. Because I've watched some stinkers. I'm a fan of RE. Y'all know I'm a fan of RE. All the live action RE movies suck. So we just had 2 stinker REs last year. RE on Netflix was a travesty.
You like that
I'm
TV
so-
show?
No. That's what I'm talking about. The TV show was trash, and then that new movie they brought out was trash.
They just need
And
to
I
stop
feel-
doing Resident Evil stuff for now.
they do because they
Just
keep.
cut it out.
I just don't get it. And it's like I'm looking at a list of like video game movies. This list ain't looking good at all.
What about the animated RE ones? What do you think of those? The ones like with Leon and
Those are actually good.
yeah.
Those are good.
Some of the like
They're a little
the
over the
last
top.
one-
They-
I mean,
they are.
RE is
They
over the
are.
top. When RE went to 4, it was over the top. They just like I said, I always call RE6 Tekken Cross Street Fighter AEW at night versus Dynamite. That's literally what it was. I'm DDT and zombies, clothesline. I'm like, what? Why would I? Who would ever DDT a zombie?
Chris,
What if he bites me
Jake the
while I'm
Snake.
grabbing him?
I hit too
guess.
hard. I hit too hard.
Oh, but yeah, this list of video game movies, hot garbage. It's like I think right now, like Sonic and Mario is definitely on a hot streak, and hopefully that the things can keep just being good after this. But most of this is just trash. Doom, trash. How do you mess up Doom? Both
Exactly,
movies,
bro.
hot garbage.
How did you mess
Doom-
that up?
Doom was trash. I got some thoughts on Silent Hill. Like looking at the game, like it was an okay movie, but after looking at it, it's like I don't know. They just be doing stuff sometimes just don't make sense. Like, of course, all the House of the Dead I don't think was that great. We got Alone in the Dark. I think that was trash. Blood Rain. I don't even think anybody remembers that. DOA.
I remember it. It was trash. I just seen a bad movie review of it. It was garbage. They didn't. The actors acted like they didn't even want to be in that bitch.
Yeah.
It was like, why am I here?
I will say
They
a
read
lot of
the
those,
dialogue,
like,
like, I
a lot
shouldn't
of
be here.
those, like the ones you're talking about. Well, I mean, kind
They're
of
a
like
lot older.
Tekken and what's the one that you were just Blood Rain? It's like they weren't given much of a budget and they just did not care. You know.
Yeah.
That's why I say it really depends on who the creative vision behind it, like the director and the producers, everything. They have to actually give a shit about the IP itself and not trying to do their own little spin or take on it. You know?
Well, that's the thing though. I just think two mediums still do that, and if they start to change, that will be better. That will be for the better for these movies. But if they don't, Monster Hunter garbage. Y'all remember that movie? Who watched it?
I actually did
heard it
watch
was
that.
trash.
I
watched
did
it?
watch that.
Was it decent? Oh boy.
I mean, it's one of those things where is it a cinematic masterpiece? Hell no. But it's not like a terrible movie. I mean, Rathalos does show up in it. Like when they do actual monster hunting, it can be fun, but how they get to that world, it's stupid. I mean, it's a very dumb movie, but it's not like horrible.
Yeah. Prince of Persia, that movie wasn't received well.
I mean, they
Assassin's
cast a white
Creed.
guy as the
Assassin's
Prince of Persia.
Creed.
That was already a mistake. So
See,
That was good from the beginning.
I mean,
Now-
I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but he's not the Prince of Persia.
now
Tom
there's
Hanks, starring
Jake
Tom
Gyllenhaal.
Hanks as the last nigga on earth.
what about Uncharted? I didn't see Uncharted. Was that okay?
No,
Uncharted, the whole issue
They
with
made
it
a
is
lot
that,
of money though.
yeah, the whole
Made a
issue is, I
lot
mean,
of
Tom
money.
Holland makes money, but the fact that they went in like a younger direction is
That was
kind
my
of
main problem.
weird. But I mean, maybe they were afraid of it being too much like Indiana Jones. But I mean, that's Uncharted, so
Yeah, that's literally.
Yeah.
But they used to make jokes back in the day, like Indiana Jones looking at Lara Croft and Drake, like y'all bar for bar, y'all stole my whole swag, bar for bar, word for it. Come on, man.
I mean, yeah, that character archetype. Well, Indiana Jones turned into a character archetype,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you just kind of stuck with it. But I say this, like a lot of the ones you brought up, they came from back in the day. So like,
I
you
just
gotta-
listened to some recent ones though.
a lot of them, like you start doing.
But that's like the
Blood
majority
Rain.
of them. This is looking like the whole list of mostly video game movies. Like from
I'm looking at the same list now, and you start from Detective Pikachu.
Rampage. That was a recent one, wasn't it?
I'm gonna start with Detective Pikachu. That was the first one that I was like, "This is fire." And then after that, you got Sonic, Monster Hunter sucked, Mortal Kombat sucked.
Hitman. Anybody remember that?
No, I
Wait,
definitely
what,
remember
man?
that. I will say I can understand where you're coming from, Devin. We're like kind of like pre 2015. Like, yeah, a lot of those movies did suck. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah,
that we're just now really getting to the trend of the movies themselves starting to
Being
get
good.
better. So I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I
not
agree
not
with it.
wrong. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree with that. I think that like Sonic and Mario, it's a good catalyst. If we can just stick on that, we'll be good. But if these people come in and do what they normally do, man, we got a better vision for it.
Hey,
I'm
look,
surprised they didn't give Mario a gun or something. Hey man, we think we
hey,
need to
hey
move this in a new
Miyamoto would not
direction.
let that fly.
Well, actually, he did get a gun. It
Mhm.
wasn't a bad gun, but he got a gun in what's the Raven Rabbits game?
Oh, yeah, he
Dual
did.
Pistols.
So space gun.
Sparks the
Yeah.
Well,
hope.
they look more like blasters, so Miyamoto's like, all right,
Yeah,
I'll let that
yeah,
slide.
We can do that.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's in a good direction. I'm just still gonna hold my breath on movies. I'm looking at a list now, upcoming movies, and there's some good looking stuff on here. But just gotta see how stuff pans out. Borderlands, I think that should make a good movie. BioShock should make a good movie. Death Stranding, to me, that would make a great movie that I would love to watch. Beyond Good and Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Duke Nukem. I don't know about that one now.
Hell no,
I
hell
don't know
no.
about
Dude,
no
Nukem is dead at
words.
this point.
Hell yeah, it's
I
dead.
don't-
We're gonna get
Yeah,
played
I
by
don't-
what?
Too
Dwayne
bad
Johnson,
I'm not reading them.
John Cena.
It would be crazy if the game, well, the older games are okay, but the games that were slated, it's gonna be the best FPS ever, suck. And what if the movie came out? Oh, this is actually good. I don't think that would happen, but first
That
of all,
would
who asked
revive
for
them.
that?
Exactly. Don't nobody want Duke Nukem no more. That shit over with. I'd rather have Turok. I'd rather have
Actually, I
Turok than
would rather
Dinosaur.
have Torah. Why?
Yeah.
Nintendo? What? Well, that's rare. So, man,
I think
Xbox,
no,
wait.
Turok now is under somebody else. I cannot think.
Crystal.
I don't know who owns the IP now. I remember
Okay, so
watching.
so Turok is not a video game character originally. He was a comic book nigga.
Comic book.
Okay, yeah, you're
Okay.
right.
I do
I
remember
guess talking
seeing
about like the
comic
game
books.
property. I don't know who it falls under now.
Dynamite owns the comic book properties. I have no idea who owns the video game.
Let's see. What was that last Torah game? I forgot who it was made by.
It was an Xbox game, so it must have been.
Yeah,
Rare.
it was on Xbox.
It was
The only reason I remember is
multiple
because I
platforms.
watched an episode of What Happened, and Matt talked
What
about
happened?
Turok. So, and he talked about like who owned it now and why they hadn't really done anything with it. I just can't remember who it was.
Will, what do you think, man? What do you think about video game adaptations right now?
As of right now, with this movie and some of the stuff we had over the past, I think we're in a good direction. We're going places. We're doing things as compared to what y'all say like pre-2015, where people were just taking things and like, yeah, we're gonna make a movie based on this, but this is the idea that I want to go with. It's like they gave them the book and said, here, you can have it. Go ahead and make this movie based on this. Fuck your book. I got a better idea. Let me put them in skirts and do stuff like that. So it's just really weird. how that was back then compared to now. I love what's happening. I want it to continue to happen. It's just, we got to get the right people with the right properties. And I think with the way we have more producers and directors kind of coming up, I think that kind of helps with getting some of this stuff done, because there are people who are now getting their hands on these IPs and these projects. They're seeing them and they're like, I'm a fan of this. I can make this work. I know what to do here.
Yeah.
So now it's not these people who are just like, I don't know what this is, but I guess I can make it work. I guess I can make a movie. I guess I'll make some money off of the name if I can. And no disrespect to Uwe Ball, who made the House of the Dead movie. I'm sorry, sir, but don't. I hate he ever did that. I really do. But
I like that you said no disrespect to Uwe Ball, which I'm pretty sure is the only time anyone's ever said that.
I know, but just I don't like that movie. But that's another story for another day. We're in a good place right now. I just need Resident Evil to be laid to rest, because it ain't never getting anything good aside from those CG movies that are canon. I don't know. I don't really know what else I can really say. We're heading in the right direction. We're doing something right here. We are.
I don't know how the Resident Evil films aren't good, because it's such a simple, straightforward story. Like every time.
I'll do a quick little shoot off. I hate that they messed around and made that first movie. I was hyped for it as a fan, because the game scared me as a kid, but the older I got into them. So I'm like, oh, Resident Evil movie, cool. You can't screw this up. Big mansion, biological problems. Cop team comes in and fixes the issue. Y'all got the cop team part right, but y'all put us in an underground futuristic facility and then gave us an extra character. I don't even know who this is. I don't even know who these people is in the team you brought in. So where is Jill and Chris? Who the hell is Alice?
They made Blood Rain movies. Those are Blood Rain movies.
I ain't gonna even bullshit you. Now that you say that, that's pretty much what it is. Blood Rain
That's
was
what
Matrix.
it is. Like,
I mean, essentially, the
You're not
director
wrong.
wants his wife to be the main character, so
Thank you.
he
That
invented
too.
his own character for the series.
I was getting to that too. Screw. What's his name? Paul Anderson. Ain't it his name?
man,
Paul
if,
W.S. Anderson.
if I had,
If
I
I
was-
had a chance to tell Paul W.S. Anderson anything, I'd just say, hang up that fucking camera, because this ain't for you.
you right.
You don't
If
need
he
it.
had told me he wanted to do that, I said, nope, you're not. Give me, nope. We scrapping it. I don't care what money spent on. We're not making this movie. You're not finna make this. Or you want just because you want your wife in it? Come on, bro. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well,
you know what?
unfortunately, it
I just thought
generated
about
like
it.
300 million in the first one. So I mean, that's why you got a whole
It-
franchise around it.
It did, and I just thought about it. Didn't he also do Monster Hunter?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is why she's in it. So
Ah.
yeah. I mean, and
You
no
guys-
disrespect to Mila Jovovich. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
no
she's
respect
great
to
at what she
her.
does,
Yeah.
but it's
I
just
love
that
her.
unfortunately those movies just aren't the adaptations that fans would probably like them to be.
I love her. I just can't stand her fucking husband.
look, you can act, but your husband can't direct. Get him out of here.
Exactly.
Rakeem, what do you think, man? Have video game adaptations like evolved to you, or are they going in a good direction?
It's getting growing pains. We've got, as we discussed, as we're seeing these new adaptations really stick more to the source material and seeing it be positively received, there's still MKs, there's still these REs in the background where people kind of like take liberties and do things. I think as we get older, one positive thing that I think, picking off of what Will said, is that it seems like a lot of directors now understand video games a little bit better, or have a
That's it.
concept of like, was a fan of that series or know that series a little bit better. So they're grounded in that universe and kind of can adapt it. Whoever made this Mario movie, they know Mario.
Yeah.
They worked with Miyamoto, they worked with the team, they did a good job. So I think it is going in a good direction. Personally, I believe if we keep getting good adaptations after this, because I mean, I think there's rumor to a God of War adaptation coming out.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a
Ghost of
Tsushima
lot that are in the
adaptation.
pipeline. Yeah.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted
Yes.
Metal.
There's so many
If we get a
unsaid
lot of
things.
positive ones out of that, I mean, this could be from last decade was the decade of superheroes. This could be the decade of video games if we keep going in a positive direction upwards. And I like to see that. There's still things coming out. I want to see adapted next. Personally, hey Will, what you got, brother?
I was gonna say, because I was looking at the list, and like Sony has like a 3-piece of like films here, and it's gonna be Ghost of Tsushima, Gravity Rush, which I'm really surprised to see that sitting there. and Jack and Daxter. They have movies. Like, listen, Devin, I see you, bro.
Pete Devin's itching. Hopefully, if Jack and Daxter gets a movie, it's not 86 to like Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did happen.
That did happen. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I remember also the Ghost of Tsushima guy when they announced that they might be were doing the movie said, "I hope they contact me." The actor who played the character.
Yeah.
I'm a professional actor.
They called me. He's like,
But yeah, man, I think it's going in Pop's direction. I do want to see more adaptations. There's all types of IPs I want to see adapted. I know Zelda, for me personally, I really want that one. And some other IPs come after that. What you say?
That kind of segues into the next question, I guess. So what do you think should be the next video game movie? What would you want to be the next video game movie?
Zelda, for me. I think that's the one where I feel like you could have, well, you had that 3-tier earlier, Sage, of the types of movie adaptation you can get. If it gets the right director, I think that could be that third layer where you have a good adaptation in that universe and a good story. I feel like Zelda's the right universe where you can ground and write a good, solid story and not just have to dig in nostalgia. And it still makes sense in the universe. You know, some stuff just can't be grounded. Just like you said, like you can't just ground everything to make it relatable.
No,
It'll lose the spirit. I feel like Zelda's one of those things where, especially in the later adaptations we have now, there's a level of groundedness to Zelda innately in the fantasy universe. So you can kind of have a more grounded, serious story, and it fits the tone of the universe and work well. And of course, tying it in, ultimately, I'm gonna be honest, I'm trying to get all these Nintendo properties. We get the Super Smash Bros. Movie eventually down the road. Get the Super Smash, the Avengers of video game adaptation. Get that out the way. But that's a pipe dream. No pun intended, Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like Legend of Zelda be the next video game adaptation I want to see personally. I think backing off of Mario, it could build up Nintendo's catalog. We could see Metroid come down the line. That would be a good adaptation. A totally different type of movie. But you know what I'm saying? That'd be kind of a cool adaptation they could do. And also one other thing, I also want to see eventually a Mario Sonic crossover. I think that could be a mega hit if they do it right.
Yeah.
All right, look. Devin, I'm gonna ask you what you think the next video game adaptation should be, and I better get the right answer up out of you. What is it?
So I got like actually 3 or 4 I would like to see.
Okay.
Actually maybe 5. It's a lot of them, but probably number 1 actually is Metroid. I would like to see like a Metroid adaptation. I just saw that list had Metal Gear. That's actually one of the ones I really want to see, like an adaptation on film on the big screen. Metal Gear Solid.
I don't want that. That storyline is batshit, and only Kojima can make sense out of it.
Speaking for yourself,
and you're gonna see a whole bunch of like, all right, this is one of the things where y'all gonna have to see to believe it, and you're gonna be like, wow, that was I don't know what the fuck that was.
Okay, so since this is actually was one of the ones I was gonna say, let me ask you this. Do you think it would work better as a TV series? Because I personally think that I feel like a movie is cramming MGS into you're cramming a lot into a 2-hour setting. I feel like as a TV series, that gives it a little bit more room to breathe, kind of like Last of Us. Do you think that would work better?
I could see that work. I mean, I feel like a movie could still be done, but I do think that a series would probably be better to stretch it out. But I mean, again, it's you. I guess like the only thing, since it's so much like different bosses and snakes and all this, I guess you decide to choose which one would you do, like which one you go with. But I still would like to see a movie with it personally.
Probably 3. I think 3 probably be the best one to start with, if I'm being honest.
Definitely start the Snake Eater.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a prequel anyway.
Yeah.
I like to see one.
It is
movie prequel. One actually. What else? Onimusha.
Oh.
What was the other one? Ratchet and Clank movie.
Capcom to resurrect that first.
Who and who? No, hell no. Now you did platformers. Who and who?
Ratchet and Clank.
That ain't the right answer.
Well, I mean, they already got a movie though.
They got a movie.
Did. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank. They did get a movie. It
They
actually didn't do that well though. That I heard.
Yeah, they did have a movie.
I heard it was one of those cases where it wasn't bad, but you're better off just playing the game.
The game was
I
very
didn't say
good.
Jack,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying what y'all want me to say because I ain't worried about the movie that game. I want the game first. Give me the game first.
You don't get out of here.
Then I'll worry about the movie. I don't care about no movie Jack. That I want Jack 4 on a game with a controller.
Jack and
I ain't
Daxter the movie might be the way you get Jack 4.
Might. I want the game first, man. Give me the game, man. but I do think out of all those I named, I do think Metroid is what I want to see adapted to the screen the most. Like
Metroid has a ton of potential.
Sci-fi. But it's one of them things like you got to be very careful with. I think it should probably be. It could probably be done live action, but I think CG would probably work better.
I think most of these like Nintendo properties wind up being CG.
Yeah. Like something along the lines. It will probably look more like Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I was so hurt as a kid because I'm like, bro, this ain't Final Fantasy. Ran my face.
That was around the time of Final Fantasy 8.
And I was, and that's a ways off. That's a ways off from that era of video game adaptations because they was making this like this is a big movie, the CG. Oh my
that shit
gosh.
almost sunk Square Enix.
Bruh.
It did.
I was like,
got a direct up out of there.
It was cool to me as a kid, but I'm looking at the screen. Where's Cloud? Where's Squall? Why Baron ain't on the screen shooting something and cursing? Where's where the summons at? What is happening? Why are we on space with these ghostly aliens? What is happening?
Different Final Fantasy.
No,
it's definitely a different Final Fantasy.
Fantasy Final, man.
This is somebody.
Fantasy Final.
Nah, bro, that's somebody Twisted Dark Nightmare. That's what that was. But yeah, Metroid for me probably like I think right now is my number one. Yeah, it gotta be.
I give you Metroid because it is like one of those like that alongside Legend of Zelda are probably the two that would stand. Really, I think someone after this movie, Donkey Kong,
Donkey Kong
should definitely be seen.
That character, the universe that they set up, like it's too much personality. So someone should be making a Donkey Kong spinoff. But like after that, or along with that, it should be Legend of Zelda and Metroid as far as Nintendo goes. What's up, Devin?
You know what I thought about watching Mario? It brought me to Wreck-It Ralph because they had a lot of video game references there. Zangief, the whole like what was it? Video game characters anonymous or whatever, like Zangief and
like all the bad guys from the video games. Yeah,
I think like Cuba was in there. I think
Bison was in there.
That's right. Zangief. The reason Zangief was there was because I think one of the guys on the major part of the staff said he couldn't beat him, so that's why he was in that meeting.
Speaking of video games, so just made me think about that movie.
It's a shame because the second one they didn't go in the video game direction again.
No,
they went in more of like a internet meme direction.
Yeah. I mean, they did have like a GTA Online thing in there.
Yeah, which I feel like was definitely wasted potential. It's like you should have just stayed on the video game path. Just my take.
They was lucky to even get a sequel. I mean, like the first movie was good, but like it was a new IP, so like they was kind of lucky to get a sequel. And I do agree that they probably should have just stuck with dance with the one that brought you. I guess for me, the next video game movie personally, fuck all this Nintendo shit. Give me Sleeping Dogs.
Oh,
Sleeping Dogs is a perfect, like it's set up like a movie. Everything, you got the undercover cop, you've got him making friends, like getting it back in touch with the people from his old neighborhood, and you got the people that doubt him. You've got all these opportunities for him to fight. You've got a girl he falls in love with. You got a girl he likes. You've got like the betrayal angle. You've got all this stuff. It felt like a movie when I played it. And so, like, there's no reason, like, you could condense a lot of what happened in that game down to just like a few key moments and make a film out of it. Just so long as you change the part where they drilled into his knees and he somehow still fought his way out. As long as you change that, we'll be all good.
That's very 80s.
Yeah,
that's very impossible is what it was. I seen that and I was like, I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen. I'm gonna just say that they beat the brakes off you and you just got out. Cause like if they drill into your knees, it ain't no knees no more, buddy. That's it for you. You retired. They got you. But I mean, like all that aside, like that story is so cinematic in presentation and in like just the key bits, like the way that it's told. there's no way you could make a film out of that and make it very successful. I know that they were working on a Sleeping Dogs TV show at one point, I think in China. But I don't know if they ever, if it comes to fruition, and if it does, because what I really want out of this ultimately is a new Sleeping Dogs video game. But like, for right now, I'll take a new Sleeping Dogs movie. Along those lines, Yakuza, the Yakuza series, definitely you could break some of those stories down to like key moments and turn them into like a television show. I mean, like a movie. A TV show would also work.
They've had one
they had a live action
drama movie, I believe.
That was like
Japan.
talking to Miike, I think.
Yeah,
I could get with that. Or Judgment. Judgment would also make a good one. They really should. Somebody should go back and do Pokemon. Not Detective Pikachu.
I was gonna say I think they should do it. I don't know why Detective Pikachu never got a sequel. It was successful enough.
It definitely should, because I think it made like $400 million at the box office. Yeah. That's a sizable chunk. I don't know what they was looking for, that they need the full $500 million or whatever. But like, y'all made y'all money back and then some. Like, go out there and make another one. You could probably do better. So like, I don't know. Like those are the ones that stick out the most. Of course, you got the platformers, Jak and Daxter, Spyro the Dragon. You could make some movies out of those. The one that I would want, like the one that I think somebody should do. And I looked it up. Apparently, Ubisoft did do this, but like, no, I want a real one, because this one nobody ever heard of it. No. Far Cry.
Oh.
Yeah. Didn't Uwe Boll do a movie for Far Cry?
Yeah, that's why I was sad. Like, I looked at how it performed, and I was like, I've never really heard of this shit. And so like, no, fuck that. Do Far Cry 3. Definitely do Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 has a ton of potential. Even Far Cry 6 feels like it has a lot of potential. 5 is a little weird in that they couldn't all exist in the same universe if you do that one. But like 3, 4, and 6 for sure. I would be like, yeah, you can make this, because like you've got a strong villain, and then like technically with the protagonist, you could kind of do whatever you wanted, because the protagonist is usually just kind of like a blank slate that the player imprints themselves onto. So like that one, I feel like that's the one. And then like one last one, and then I'm gonna pass it off to Will. The one last one, I think, like, I would love to see a Destiny TV series.
Oh man,
that
you actually could do that now. It's developed enough.
Yeah, like that whole universe, they've built it out over like a decade now of story between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, all the expansions, all that shit. They've built out the world. There's so many different kinds of threats and enemies, and like different planets that they can go to, different environments. You can even CG it. I mean, it's not like it would be that different from playing the game. So like, I wouldn't be mad at a Destiny television series. So like, because I don't see myself going back to those video games ever again. But like, I could see myself learning about the lore through like a TV show and being pretty interested in it. Will, what do you think, man?
Okay, so I do have a couple choices out there. I'm going to get my first one out the way. I wouldn't mind seeing a Kirby movie.
Hey,
Kirby makes a lot of sense.
I'm sure that'll make Sakurai proud.
I would love to see a Kirby movie simply for the fact that I love how a lot of Kirby's games are like really like simple base plot. But when it gets kind of like towards the end, there's always some galactic eldritch abomination that's kind of throwing it. It's like, hey, cute pink puffball just floats around and eats stuff and be cute. And then all of a sudden he's fighting like some biblically correct angel in the sky with a sword. Like, I kind of want to see that kind of play itself out, because a lot of people know what Kirby has done and seeing what Kirby games are. So I mean, like, why not bring that to the silver screen? CG, no doubt about it. And a couple other ones I had in mind, because Terrence mentioned TV shows, and I actually had one in mind for a TV show. And I was like, you know what? That could work, but it just depends on, the people who got, a hold of it. And my brain was like, what if we got a Final Fantasy Tactics or Triangle Strategy TV show of some sort? What if we got something like that?
That feels like it'd be more of an anime, but I'd be down for it.
I mean, hey, if it ends up being an anime, I'm with that too. Either or. It could be us being an Evilise or us being, dealing with the Wolfer family. I'm cool with that. Like, either of those. And then I happen to just scroll down my game list here in front of me. You want to know, I thought about something that would make an interesting movie or maybe even a show? Catherine. Catherine came up. I was
Catherine.
like,
oh.
Yeah, Catherine's like it would be something interesting. Like, think about it. Like, maybe not. It could be full body. They can probably like try to fix some of the things that they had kind of wrong with a certain ending. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that. We're gonna leave Resident Evil in the past. We're gonna leave it in the past. Be still, heart. We're gonna leave it alone. And I don't, that's just so much. I still want to see. I would love to see a Metroid movie. A Metroid movie is like it would be so dope to see. I would love to see that. I would love that. And
Metroid, like the more I think about it, is the one that I'm like, you could really get somewhere with that one. Like
yeah,
Legend of Zelda, you'd have to put a lot of work into to make that one, but like
That's
you
true.
could make just like a really tense Metroid film, even with like her gaining abilities and like changing armors and stuff. It can
Right.
still be a tense movie because she's always like Samus is always tested by the aliens that she's fighting and like the different pirates and all that shit. Like everything she goes against is always like a challenge, and just because she has a new weapon don't mean she just gonna steamroll over it. So you
Right.
could make a good like kind of like Alien, but like the ability to fight back.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say.
know what I'm
'Cause,
saying?
I mean, because
Definitely.
Metroid is definitely, based on Alien. So
Right,
Yeah, Metroid's definitely based on that.
Yeah.
And one I kind of threw out there, but I took it back in my head because I'm like, it could, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe it's a little outlandish for what it could be, maybe. And I was looking at it, Star Ocean.
There's a Star Ocean anime,
I mean,
Star
I know
Ocean
about
EX,
anime.
and it was
Yeah, I know.
really good. But it
Yeah.
only covered like the first half of Star Ocean's second story.
Yeah, like I know about the Star Ocean EX thing, and I was just like, maybe they could kind of pull something back here with another Star Ocean anime or something of the sort like that. I know there's a Dead by Daylight movie in the works, and I'm very scared about how they're gonna play that out. So yeah, so I don't know how
about
you
that.
play that out. I don't know how you play that out. That's one of my like
Trash.
kind of like side eye like how you gonna
what'll
play
be
this
cool
out?
with that? Not a movie, but like you could American Horror Story it, where each season's like a different killer, and you could have used those killers into the season, and that would probably been a better way to adapt that.
I got your idea. It's it would basically be like taking that killer and that survivor kind of running their story, like because
Yes.
most of them come in pairs, aside from like maybe like the licensed ones, like the Leatherface and Michael Myers and so on and so forth, and kind of have their stories kind of play it out. I like that idea. That would work better than a movie, honestly, if you ask me. So I like that, but that's all I can really think of off the top of my head right now.
Hey, Terrence, Terrence, you want to close us out? How many of hours do we take? Off your list.
I mean, to be honest, you all have already hit on all the major ones that I probably would have brought up. I guess I'll look at this from a different perspective. I will say that I think in terms of like Western game development versus Eastern game development, I think we're on track where a lot of the Western games, because they're more like cinematic in scope, especially a lot of the Sony stuff, if we're being honest, like God of War, Horizon, which Horizon is one that probably will get an adaptation at some point. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. Uncharted, Last of Us, like the way those type of games are going, like they're already very cinematic. They're known for their stories. It's easier in a sense to do adaptations for those, whether it's a movie or a TV show. While yes, a lot of the Eastern properties that we mentioned, they could definitely have TV shows and movies. I do think that for some of them, it can be a little harder to do an adaptation, like specifically like a movie, just because it really depends on what direction you want to go with it. Because it's not as cinematic, it's kind of like a little filler that you have to add in between. I mean, just like the Mario movie where they had to add, stuff to Mario's plot. Like, he couldn't just, in theory, he could have just shown up in the Mushroom Kingdom, but it was more interesting seeing him be in Brooklyn, have a family, and then essentially get isekai'd into the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, but yeah, I do think that with the direction that things are going, that the Western games are more than likely to get adaptations, or at least probably get adaptations that are maybe a little bit more respected. But who knows? Like with the Mario movie being as successful as it will be, I think that maybe the Japanese will start like considering that, maybe we can do this for real. Like maybe we can take this seriously. Because I know Nintendo has been so reserved for so long because of, things that happened in the past, especially in the 90s with adaptations from whether it's
Rightfully
like
so, I
the
think.
Philips CDI
Rightfully so.
adaptations of their games, the
the
movies, the
dog
TV show. They were so burned
Well,
from
excuse me, princess.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. They were
My
so burned from
boy.
all that stuff that I can understand why it took them so long to try their hand at a video game movie again. But maybe with this one, maybe other companies in Japan will see like, okay, this is something that can be done. It doesn't have to be garbage or like a dumpster fire. But yeah, if there is one that I would like to see, like I said before, I do think that Metal Gear Solid would make a really good TV series. Of course, it depends on which game they go with. I do think 3 is the best one to do just because that one is, in a sense, well, ground is not the right word, and I know we've talked about grounded, but I feel like 3 is more doable than 3 is probably the more approachable one. I'll put it that way. Three in my opinion, is the best direction to start with. And I think that a TV series just work better for that just because it gives you time to flesh out everything. Whereas if you do a movie, you're cramming a lot of it into that 2 hour, 2.5 hour window, and it could probably feel a little rushed. So I would like to see a Metal Gear Solid TV series. And if they do bring the game back, that'd be a good way to build up hype for that. So, yeah.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode. I need a few things from y'all if you liked it. I need you to do us a favor and hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Don't just check us out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. And I need you to do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.